World media headlines report the Ukrainian front is frozen. On one hand, it's true, the lines are moving only by meters. Looking closer, things are boiling beneath the surface. Areas that were calm for months are now seeing fierce offensives. Elsewhere, the front is collapsing and either side risks being encircled. A frozen front? Definitely not. The war in Ukraine is changing right now, and what's happening could decide its future. Welcome to Beyond Borders, where we reveal hidden connections, power dynamics, and conflicts shaping our world. In this video, we'll break down the latest situation on all sections of the Ukrainian front. We'll mainly focus on two areas. Zaporizhzhia faces a surprise Russian offensive, while Ukrainians take the initiative in Sumy. We'll also examine the fierce fighting in Donbas and Kharkiv, tracking frontline shifts and troop movements. Zaporizhzhia region. An unexpected Russian offensive, Zaporizhzhia region, a place already under global scrutiny in 2023. This is where the Ukrainian counteroffensive began, intended to be the war's turning point. The goal was clear: break through Russian lines, retake Melitopol, and cut off the Russian corridor to Crimea. But this counteroffensive ultimately failed. The Ukrainians liberated some villages, such as Robotyne and Verbov, but Russian defenses remained very strong. There were trenches, minefields, and constant reinforcements. The losses were enormous and the front practically came to a halt. The lines on the map stayed the same until the last few weeks. Russia abruptly launched a surprise offensive here. They're attacking from Hulyajpol through Kharkiv to the lines near Kamyanske and Plavny. Their goal is simple: break through Ukrainian defenses and approach Zaporizhzhia. Zaporizhzhia itself is very important. It's a major industrial center with about 700,000 residents before the war. There are huge factories here, like Zaporizhzhia Automobile Plant, the Zaporizhzhia Automobile Plant, as well as turbine and heavy machinery production. If the front moved closer to Zaporizhzhia, this key Ukrainian center would be directly threatened. Russia has moved thousands of soldiers into the area, especially the 58th Army Russian Airborne Forces airborne units and parts of the 5th Army from the Far East. T-90M tank units, MS to self-propelled howitzers, and more Lancet drones, which attack Ukrainian artillery and equipment, have arrived at the front. Ukraine is also active, with the 47th holding the defense. Mechanized Brigade, which already fought at Robotyne. Along with it, the 118th Mechanized Brigade and the 65th Mechanized Brigade. These units use modern drones, minefields, and precision-guided artillery fire. The Ukrainian army has deployed M777 howitzers here, French Caesar systems, and also several high-mobility artillery rocket system rocket launchers. Although Russia attacked, the front remains mostly unchanged. The Russians gained only a few hundred meters, but the Ukrainian defense stopped them. Every attempt at a breakthrough turns into a bloody battle. Artillery fire is nearly constant, and both sides' soldiers face drone attacks, mines, and shelling. The Zaporizhzhia front is shifting after 2 years of stagnation. If Russia breaks through, Zaporizhzhia's road opens, potentially changing the entire war. The video's not over. Please subscribe, like, or send a super thanks if you'd like. That's a small financial gift to support my work. Thank you. Let's continue. Sumy region, Ukrainian counterattacks. The Sumy region is an area in the north of Ukraine. It is here that a new, very dangerous front has begun to develop in recent weeks. Since May 2025, Russia has attempted to open a new attack front across the border from the Kursk region, deep into Ukrainian territory. Their goal is clear: to create a security zone on the Ukrainian side of the border, and above all, to draw Ukrainian reserves away from Zaporizhzhia or Donbas. Ukrainian and Western sources say Russia has about 50,000 soldiers here, including the 40th Unit, Naval Brigade, the 155th Naval Brigade, and parts of the 6th Combined Army. They arrived with lots of equipment, including T-42, B-3M, and T-80 tanks, Emesta, and Hyacinth self-propelled guns, plus hundreds of first-person view drones ready for strikes. In June, Russia captured villages like Kindrativka, Novinka, and Kostiantinivka. These positions allowed them to get as close as 20 kilometers from the city of Sumy itself. In Sumy, Ukrainian defense relies mainly on territorial defense units and parts of the 112th, Separate Territorial Defense Brigade, which is based here. This brigade knows the terrain, every road, forest, and village. In addition, parts of the 1st were moved here. Tank Brigade reinforcing defensive lines west of Sumy. They have T-64 BV tanks and BMP-2 infantry fighting vehicles at their disposal. Ukraine is also using mobile groups here, equipped with pickups and first-person view drones, which quickly move firepower to where there is a threat of a Russian breakthrough. These groups attack Russian supply routes and destroy smaller Russian units trying to move through forests and field roads. The Drone Corps, created by the Ukrainian armed forces specifically for these rapid counterattacks, is also very active in the region. Their task is to strike Russian artillery positions, trucks, and assault groups before they come into contact with Ukrainian lines. Several batteries of hranicami and M777 are also deployed in the area, which the Ukrainian army quickly relocates to avoid retaliatory fire. These howitzers often work together with high-mobility artillery rocket systems, which strike Russian command posts and logistics warehouses deep behind the front lines. In addition to regular units, local volunteer detachments also participate in the defense, providing patrols, reconnaissance, and civilian evacuations. Together, these forces form a flexible, highly mobile defense that can quickly respond to Russian attempts at breakthroughs. Thanks to them, Russia still hasn't approached Sumy. Several sources say Ukrainians may partially encircle the Russians. The Ukrainians are trying to close the pincers from the west and east around the Russian group near Kindrativka. It's not a complete encirclement yet, but the Russians are having trouble with their supplies. They still have to keep moving their units back to the border. The Ukrainian General Staff reports the Russian advance in Sumy is halted. Sumy itself is a large regional center. Before the war, about 250,000 people lived here. It is strategically located with major railways, roads to Kiev, and key infrastructure for supplying the Eastern Front. If Russia moved closer to the city, massive shelling and a humanitarian disaster could occur. The front line is now 15-20 kilometers from the city. The Ukrainians are carrying out small counterattacks that allow them to take back some villages. The fighting is fierce, with every meter of land costing blood. The Sumy region appears stable now, but experts warn Russia could attack again at any time. This would pose a new threat to northern Ukraine and potentially allow a breakthrough toward Kiev. Other sections of the front. Now let's examine the rest of the Ukrainian front. Kharkiv region. The Russian offensive near Vovyansk in the northeast shocked Ukrainians in the spring. The Russians broke into the city and fighting took place in the ruins of the streets. Their goal was to threaten Kharkiv with artillery, draw in Ukrainian reserves, and pressure the eastern front. The Ukrainians mounted a major defense. They moved National Guard units, mechanized brigades, and assault drone units into the area. According to open-source intelligence mapping, Russia has retreated from the western part of Vovchansk and is now mainly holding the northeastern part. Kharkiv is not in immediate danger for now, but shelling of the city continues almost daily. In the Luhansk region, Russian media recently triumphantly declared that it is entirely under Russian control. The reality is that the Russians have controlled almost the entire Luhansk region for quite some time. Ukraine has lost the remaining territory near Belohorivka, but fighting continues along the front from Kupiansk down the Oskol River. The Russian command is concentrating thousands of soldiers here. Their goal is to push the Ukrainians back behind the Oskil River. The front advances just a few meters daily. Fighting is intense with heavy losses on both sides. But the Ukrainian army keeps launching counterattacks. No Russian breakthrough is definitive yet. Russians are attempting to seize Chazy Vyar near Kramatorsk and Sloviansk. There, they would open the way to Sloviansk and Kramatorsk, now the Ukrainian centers of power in Donbas. But the battle for Chazy Vyar has stalled, even though the Russians already control part of the city, which is now just ruins. The Kherson region in the south is likely the calmest part of the front, though fighting continues there too. For example, from Kherson, which Ukraine liberated in November 2022 as the only occupied regional center, there are frequent reports of drone attacks and shelling. Conclusion: while some claim the Ukrainian front is frozen, daily fighting and casualties continue, hundreds to thousands of men daily. Russia advances in some areas, while Ukraine counterattacks in others. The front is both frozen and active. This war has become one of attrition. Despite growing global discussion of peace talks, the end remains distant. Thank you for being with us on the Beyond Borders channel. Keep following us so you don't miss the stories and connections that move the world. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you want to support my work, you can also use Super Tanks. It's a small gift right here on YouTube. See you next time.